Hey there guys, Drex here with what I think is probably going to be the first online review of the poi from Charlie Cushing, that is Charlie Copter's new company Lanternsmith. Haha! Charlie sent a set of these to me a couple weeks ago to try out and kind of play around with and everything and give him my impressions, and overall the impressions are pretty positive. So I wanted to share it with you guys as well. So first and foremost, what exactly is the idea behind these poi? They're definitely meant to glow, but not in the way that you would think. See, inside of these poi, and there's no way this will show up on camera, but you can actually see these teeny tiny little iridescent yellow grains. It's a kind of sand that I guess actually it's kind of like glow in the dark, but a little bit more intense. The idea behind these is that you charge them up with some high-intensity LEDs, and they basically glow in the dark and hold on to it for a few minutes. And they have this really interesting kind of ghostly iridescent feel to them. So we're going to put them through their paces today, and you can kind of see how they work. First and foremost, though, I wanted to kind of show you them in their brand new state. The balls are these lovely little 80mm, they're almost like contact balls. They're a little bit heavier, which is awesome because having glow poi that work in a contact kind of form is something that has been at the top of my please do it list now for pretty much every glow poi manufacturer I've talked to in the past 2 years. The way that these attach to this line right here, and as you can see, the line also has these little iridescent grains of sand in it as well. So the line itself will glow as well as the handle. It's connected to the ball by this little attachment right here that screws in and out, and as you can see, it's this lovely little tube with the screw on top of it. Goes straight into the ball on top. In theory, there should be attachments for connecting these to other types of lines and equipment. So, for example, Charlie sent me a whole bunch of glow-in-the-dark rope as well, but I lack the attachment to stick these in, so I haven't tried it out just yet. But the line has a little plastic sleeve on it. It's, God, I want to say maybe 3/4 of an inch long, and it has this handle which is kind of barrel-shaped. And then going through the handle is the line here, which is like surgical tubing filled with this sand, loops back upon itself and has this little metal ring. According to Charlie, the way this is set up is you kind of measure it out against another set of poi, and you measure it to that point at which you find the point on the line where it's as long as your other set of poi, and you kind of cut it off just a few inches down from that. You bend it back over and shove it through the handle and pull it tight such that the mark that you made to mark how long the poi is lined up with this little metal ring right here. And you pull the whole thing through such that the metal ring kind of locks it in place in the handle, right? And then this little plastic sleeve right here goes and gets shoved up into the handle to reinforce it and everything. So I haven't done it yet because I wanted to show you guys what these look like in their unvarnished state, so to speak. That's other stuff that Charlie sent me. They have some form factors for these that look a bit more like glow sticks. These unfortunately weren't drilled out in such a way that I could convert them and put them on the ends of the lines, but I think the glow sticking slash flow toys crowd is kind of where this is directed at. Once again, they're definitely heavier than normal glow sticks are, but I think once you connect them to the line, they would feel about equivalently heavy to the line itself. Also, what is this funky little Nautilus-shaped thing? This is what Charlie and his collaborator Annie are referring to as a sprite. This is the only part of the Lanternsmith kit that you actually need batteries for, and here's why. There's a little switch on the back side right here that when you push it... Oops, sorry, batteries are out of alignment. That keeps happening to me. When you push that switch, it sets off a whole bunch of, whoa, hello, really, really intense LEDs that are arranged in this kind of Nautilus shape right here. And in theory, what you're supposed to do with that then is like you put it around the line like so, and you turn it on, and then you pull the line on through it, and it charges up the poi. And you can even kind of see the glow in the daylight here. It's that intense. Kind of difficult to make it work on the spheres. You kind of like have to trace out a path around it and everything. I really feel like I'm in Star Trek and I'm kind of like measuring something with a tricorder or something like that. But yeah, that basically is how you charge it up, and then it holds on to that glow. The glow does fade over time, and I'll shoot some video of that a little bit later so you can see. But those are the basic mechanics of how this set of poi works. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and cut the lines so they're the appropriate length, and you'll get to see how these work outside. So be right back. Hey guys, so I am now outside Malcolm X Park, which of course is the natural habitat of glow poi. I've been playing around with these now all afternoon to get a good feel for them, and overall my response to it is definitely positive. First, however, a quick note about the handles. I did indeed cut them earlier this afternoon, and Charlie had warned me that there's a tendency for the sand to run out the uncut end, which it did, but it did so in greater quantity and speed than I was really expecting. And granted, it wasn't all that much, but it was enough that I had a little bit of cleanup to do afterwards, and it got on my clothes and myself. Charlie assures me that it's non-toxic, so I'm not that worried about it. But just FYI, when you do that operation yourself, you're going to want to do it over a garbage can. And I went ahead and closed up the loose end by clamping it shut with pliers over a range top to melt the end, and that seems to have worked out just fine. Overall, I like these. They are definitely the heaviest set of glow poi that I have yet used, with the possible exception of the Trick Concepts ones, but those are like way too heavy. I know that a complaint that a lot of people have with their glow poi actually is that they're not as heavy as they would like. These actually feel about the same weight as my fire poi, so there's not much of a transition for me in going between them. It's also great for doing clean stalls, of course, which, I mean, I would expect that any poi that Charlie Cushing had engineered would possess this characteristic, what with the badass stalls that he's known for. The leashes, of course, being surgical tubing, you don't get to do orbitals with these. Charlie informs me that there is a system for connecting them to other types of leashes, so you can use some flow cord or what have you to get your orbitals on. But aside from that, all the other tangles that I'm used to doing come out pretty easily. There really wasn't that much of an adjustment there. One place there was an adjustment was when it came to throws. There is a tendency for the leashes, rather than to break out perfectly straight when they're released, instead they curve slightly. I think the reason for this is that the surgical tubing must come coiled originally, and there's a tendency for the poi to kind of return to that place when the handle gets released, right? It changes the path that it gets released through just slightly, but it's nothing you can't adjust to pretty easily. And I frankly don't know, but there's a good possibility that after spending with these for a few months that the kinks would work their way out, so to speak. Contact with these is all kinds of fun. I've been waiting to do contact with glow poi for a very long time. Once again, it's a small period of adjustment because the weight is different, but there's nothing I can do with these that I can't normally do. Even this beastly little contact roll right here turned out to be not as difficult as I thought it was going to be when I transitioned over to these. The one exception is fishtails. I cannot for the life of me make fishtails work with these. The weight is different enough that, I mean, it's literally like learning them all over again. But, you know, I never use fishtails anyway, so, yeah, whatevs. Aside from that, everything seems to be pretty durable. The one, like, home run here is definitely the handles. They fit in the palm of the hand in an incredibly satisfying way, and the weight of them is awesome. I frankly would probably use these on my normal practice set anyway, even outside of the glow realm. So I guess all that's left is really to show you guys how they look when they're charged up. Of course, when they're initially charged up, they look their brightest, and then as time goes on, they kind of lose that brightness. So I will go ahead and show you guys what they look like at each of those stages. So check that out. When charging up the poi, it's a little bit easier to get good coverage on the tether and the handle than it is on the head. The reason for this being, you can think of it as essentially being like drawing on the surface of a sphere with a magic marker. I recorded this video in a place that had almost no ambient light, and as you can see, it wound up being a little bit too dark, so I've treated the video just slightly so you can see a little bit of the background in my body. But otherwise, the way the poi heads are sticking out in the darkness is pretty accurate. If we jump ahead to the 1 minute mark, you'll see that the poi heads are still pretty well visible in the darkness. However, the glow on the tether and the handle has pretty well faded. One thing I recommend is making sure that there are good fresh batteries inside the sprite. I had a previous take where I forgot to do that and the poi were really hard to make out. At the 2 minute mark, as you can see, the heads are still just barely visible. The handles and tethers are pretty well gone at this point. They're almost impossible to make out, if at all. If we jump ahead to the 5 minute mark, however, the poi heads are invisible. And according to Charlie, this is actually by design. He wants people to be recharging these about every 5 minutes or so, just as though they were going to re-dip their poi heads if they were spinning some fire poi, right? Hey there, so now you have seen the poi in action, and I've given you some of my thoughts. So of course the question, are these worth your hard-earned dollars? And if you are really into contact poi as I am, and literally have been dying for a set of glow poi with which you can do contact, then just straight up, these are the poi for you. If your traditional glow poi just don't feel heavy enough for you and you want to try out something that's going to feel a lot closer to your fire poi, I would also check these out. Finally, and I cannot emphasize this enough, the handles are awesome. No matter who you're using for your glow poi, check out these handles and see if you can get them to work with your poi, because they feel so satisfying in your hands. And the weight, I believe, is actually a lot closer to the silicone handles instead of the PX3 knobs. So for those of you guys who like a heavier handle, I think they'll be up your alley as well. I don't think they're going to be the only glow poi that I use from here on out, but then again, I've never been a fan of having only one set of poi in my repertoire anyway. So if they look interesting to you guys, you can check out Charlie and Annie from Lanternsmith at one of the mini fire festivals this summer. I believe they're going to be at Flame Festival in Atlanta in just a couple weeks, as well as Fire Drums and Spin Summit. So I don't know beyond that, but check them out at lanternsmith.com and drop them a ring. Thank you guys for watching, and have yourselves a great week. Peace.